So, why are we having a new EU driving licence directive? Well, because the old one was nearly 20 years old and it was in need of modernisation. In certain countries, we are seeing road deaths drop, but we're looking at around 20,000 people a year who are dying on our roads in Europe. Now, we need to be able to have a volunteer firefighter from Germany, for example, being able to go over the border to help with, say, a forest fire in France without them having issues with their driver's license. We have set a limit at 50 kilometers per hour above the speed limit on the road, and that is the point at which the driver's license can be removed from the individual in all EU countries.
The European Parliament approved an overhaul of EU driving licence and driving disqualification rules aimed at cutting road deaths and modernising standards across the bloc. The package targets the nearly 20,000 people killed annually on EU roads with tougher enforcement and updated training. Under the reform, member states must offer a digital driving licence, stored on a smartphone, by 2030, while drivers keep the right to request a physical plastic card at any time.
The obligation is with the member states. They have to offer the digital driving license by 2030 at the latest. The idea is that by then the EU's digital wallet will already be available so that you could put your digital driving license into that safe space on your smartphone, obviously. But you can always request a physical one, even if you already have a digital one and you want to travel to, I don't know, let's say, Democratic Republic of Congo, where I expect you will not have the possibility to show your digital driver's license to the police, then of course you can request a physical one. Or you can request a physical one just because you want it. Because maybe I want to go to a friend at that evening and I don't want to take my smartphone with me because I want to be offline. I have to have a possibility to have my driving license with me.
A 2-year probation period for novice drivers is introduced, with stricter penalties for offences such as drink driving or not wearing seatbelts. From age 17, youths may obtain a Category B licence, but must drive under supervision until 18. To address driver shortages, the reform allows truck licences, C at 18, and bus licences, D, at 21 with appropriate professional qualification.
We also wanted to look at professional drivers. There had been a bit of a mismatch between the certificate of driving qualification, so the professional driver's licence, and the EU driver's licence. There'd been a bit of a gap. Now we've made an adaptation, so we've got the standard for 18-year-old for your truck driving and 21 for your bus driving licenses, but these can be done beforehand if the individual requirements of the CPC have been met. And we've also adapted the classification. Vehicles are becoming heavier, particularly with electric vehicles, of course. We all know batteries are heavy. And so it means now that certain vehicles are over the limit for normal passenger vehicles on traditional driver's licenses. And so we've started to think about specific vehicles that might exist. And for example, we know in Germany we've got voluntary rescue services, voluntary fire services, and then often they need an increased weight limit on their driver's licenses, not able to drive a vehicle, for example, at 3.5 tonnes on a standard driving licence. So we've adapted this to get up to 5 tonnes if a test can be provided or if training has been carried out. And this is down to the member states to resolve. And this is obviously, of course, only if this is being used professionally. You can't just jump in an ambulance and go on holiday, but this is if you're doing it for work. And then this needs to be recognised cross-border. Now, we need to be able to have a volunteer firefighter from Germany, for example, being able to go over the border to help with, say, a forest fire in France without them having issues with their driver's licence. So we've got, I think, some very good rules here, and finally, at long last, we have also managed to find, we hope, a solution for the 20,000 deaths that we're seeing on our roads every year. namely alcohol rules. We wanted stricter rules brought in. This wasn't possible with member states. Instead, now we've got a probationary period with stricter rules put in place, meaning that the member state can decide whether the driver's license is taken away from someone or if there are other sanctions put in place. Now, some member states said they did not want to move away from the alcohol limit they had in place. Now we have got people learning to drive, then going through their probationary period. I can tell you that I have I've had my driver's license for 40 years, and now I get in the car, I always put my seatbelt on. It's just what happens. And we need that kind of automatic reflex to happen in relation to alcohol as well. We need to ensure that these things that we have introduced are effective. We've also got to get into the habit now of teaching people to open the door with the other hand when they're opening it onto the street, so that they don't hit a cyclist, so that they can see where they're opening the door. This is the kind of thing that every driving school in Europe needs to be teaching new drivers. And this is the kind of thing we're covering, because we want there to be greater safety on our roads. And this was one of the main things that came up under the Road Safety Directive. We want to halve the number of deaths on our roads, and by 2040 we want to get that down to 0.